And welcome to the Nug Life Podcast on the Answers 42 Media Network. As always, I am your host, Dan Wetstein. Unfortunately, my co-host is not here. Not sure what happened to Santiago. I haven't got any text or anything, so I'm hoping nothing went wrong. Hope nothing went bad. We're going to cross our fingers and just hope that something just crazy happened and he's just not able to make it yet. If he shows up, we'll definitely get him in. But as of right now, for the third time around this week, it's just me. So y'all going to have to deal with that. But let's go ahead and jump into the Nuggets because we do actually have some things to talk about. There's plenty to talk about. We haven't talked to y'all in a couple of weeks. For those of you that may not have watched either Sasquatch Says or Breaking Broncos, I won't go into the detail I did then, but the reason why we've been a little bit inconsistent is because the mother-in-law is in the hospital. She has been put on and off life support, trach, peg, all that stuff. So not looking great, but all prayers, thoughts, all that good stuff off to the Nicholson family as their matriarch is fighting literally for her life at this point. So then Day 42 fam, just make sure you show out your love, give out your thoughts and prayers and all that to the Nicholson family and the girls. They're going through it and they need all the love and care that they could get right now. But on to happier news. The Nugget schedule has been released. So we actually know who they're going to play and when they're going to play them. So we're going to go through and talk about our most anticipated matchups, what might be the funnest ones, which ones are going to tell us, the most about this team and what they could be or what they will be as they continue to gel, getting back their two superstars in Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. So first up, most anticipated matchup. That for me is going to, let me get the date for you. It's going to be the first game against Golden State, and that is on October 21st. That is the second game of the season. I really want to see that game simply because I believe it will give us a barometer of not only what the team is, but what they can be. If they come out and absolutely mollywop the Golden State Warriors, look out in the West. It's going to be over. They'll be gelled, and it'll be from day one. If they go out and they struggle a little bit, but they keep it close and they show that the added scoring of Murray and Porter Jr. can make a difference, especially in the playoffs, you have that to hang your hat on. Or they go out and just get absolutely destroyed by the defending champions. We know how much they need to work on. But I think this is going to be the first game. And yes, it's only the second game of the season. So you're probably going to see less of the starters than you normally would. There's going to be a little bit more of a game management or time management, however you want to put that. So there may be that going on, but the fact that they're going to be able to replay that team that quickly, I honestly thought it might be the first game of the season, but they have it against the rival Utah Jazz, which makes somewhat of sense. But I think without Rudy Gobert, and that it lost a lot of its teeth in that rivalry. So I'm not super happy with the fact that the Nuggets have to start on the road against the Jazz, but it is what it is. It's what the scheduling team put together. So that's what we have to deal with. So first game, obviously at Utah on October 19th. It's a Wednesday. And then the second game, October 21st against Golden State. That is on a Friday. So everybody should be able to watch. It's a late game, 7 p.m. because, they're just disrespectful about being a flyover city. I really don't see any. They're not terrible. I guess 7 p.m. is not a terrible time. There's not as many 8 and 10 p.m. games, so I will give the schedulers that much credit. I actually don't see outside of a handful of 8:30 games. I think 8:30 is the latest. I'm just double checking to be sure. But yeah, it looks like 8:30 is the latest that your Nuggets will play at any point this season. So there's another bonus to seeing the schedule, is that there's no more 1-2 o'clock in the morning waiting for a game to get over because the damn thing didn't start until 10 p.m. because the people on the East Coast don't give a damn about the people over here on the West or in the Midwest. So it is nice to see that modicum of respect has been given this squad, because they deserve to be in prime time. They deserve to have those 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock time slots that people are going to be able to watch, not only in the local area, but also on the East Coast. Because believe it or not, there are Nuggets fans coast to coast, especially now that they're winning. Maybe before Jokic, you couldn't make that claim, but now there is literally a Nuggets nation. Jokic has made the Nuggets a nation. One man created a nation. How about that? So, yeah, again, number one matchup I'm looking forward to, game 2. Number 2 is going to be the very next game, October 22nd, that Saturday, at home against OKC. Why? Because that is Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr.'s debut at home. That's the first home game. I want to see how this team works, not only on the road with Golden State, seeing how they go up against the best of the best in the division in their house, but also the very next day you get to come home playing against a very good OKC team. I know a lot of people might try and roast me for that, but they also did the same thing last year when I said the Cleveland Cavaliers would be much better than people anticipated. Maybe not a playoff team, but much better and much improved. Guess what they were? I'm going to say the same thing about OKC. This is the year they start to finally turn the corner. Again, just like I said last year about the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't believe they've made that step to get into the playoffs. I mean, they could be a surprise, but in the West, I highly doubt it. In the East, they'd have a chance. In the West, I don't see any way for OKC, even in a play-in game, to get into the playoffs. So I will stamp it a little bit by saying that, but OKC will be much improved, and they will start showing it in that road game for them, home game for the Nuggets on that Saturday, October 22nd, as they pull up and show that the youth is starting to learn and gain the experience it needs to actually get in on the fun. And sorry, guys, I lost my tab. Where'd I go? Okay, there I go. All right, I just wanted to make sure that Santiago hadn't snuck himself in, and he was sitting there screaming at me to get back in. And I'll double check my phone just to make sure he hasn't responded with anything. No, doesn't look like it. Nope. All right. So, anyways, back to where I need to stop saying so. It's getting annoying for me. I can only imagine for you guys. But anyways, what I was getting at is that those two are going to show us very early on exactly where this team is. Does Jamal and MPJ get wore out by a bunch of youngsters that come into town in OKC and in the altitude just aren't able to keep up and maybe not have the conditioning yet that early in the season? Or did they go out and do everything that looks like they did on their Instagrams and all that with all of their workouts? So that'll be in the case. Those are the two biggest early matchups. The next big matchup is going to be versus Boston on January 1st. This is the last time the Celtics came to Denver. They absolutely manhandled the Nuggets in a 20-point victory in March. So, and they were obviously the team that made it to the finals and gave Golden State some headaches in the finals. This will be another game where they're able to go up against top tier talent from the other conference to give a little bit of a modicum of what they are going to be going up against if they make it to the finals, because it's more than likely going to be a team. If it's not the Boston Celtics, it's going to be a team like the Boston Celtics, Miami Heat, a team of that nature that's got ridiculous defense and enough scoring. That's kind of where the East has went. The East has went to the defensive side, West has went to the offensive side, and we've seen over the years, offense typically beats defense when it comes to basketball. So that being the case, Denver is going to be bringing a whole lot more offense against this almost identical defense for the Boston Celtics. So seeing the Nuggets go out and put some damage on the Celtics there in January where they should have had enough time to get up their cardio, get up their to re-gel as a team. Like I think people are making way too much of it, of the Nuggets having to gel as a team. There's too many guys that have been here for too long for that to be too much of a hiccup. Like, do you really think Jamal, MPJ, and Joker need a lot of time to gel? They might need a little bit of extra time to gel with a Kentavious Caldwell-Pope or a Bruce Brown or a Christian Brown, etc. But those guys are mostly bench guys. The only one that's going to be a starter, if any of them, is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So the only real person that has to learn how to gel with everybody is, again, one guy, KCP. So as long as he can come in and do his job, learn what the other guys like, because he is a role player. He is not a star. He has never been a star. And this is the thing that I love about the KCP acquisition, is that he doesn't need to be a star. He does not have that ego. He is willing to play second, third, or fourth fiddle, in this case, to the stars of a team. He understands his role. He stays in his lane, and he plays that role perfectly, which is why he got an extension before he ever dribbled the ball for the Nuggets, as we discussed a couple weeks ago. Those are my three biggest matchups, funnest matchups, and most crucial, and why. But I want to know yours. Let me know what you think, where you believe is the best matchup, the funnest matchup, the most enticing matchup, maybe the matchup that you believe would show us more of what the Nuggets can and will be than any of the ones I selected. I would love to have that conversation. Again, down in the description, I apologize. Down in the description, there is all of our social links. So make sure you click on them, click the likes, the subscribes, the bell icon, so you get all the notifications. That way you can comment on all of these little topics and have the discussions with us. There's nothing we love more. So please go down in the comments, go to the Twitter, go to the Instagram, go to the Facebook page, leave your comments, leave your beliefs, and we'd be happy to have that conversation. We love that. So please bring them on. Next up, we have, moving on from the Nuggets schedule being released to Yahoo Sports releasing their top 10 players going into the 22-23 season. Now, even though I do believe Jokic got some respect on this list, I don't think he got quite enough. And the reason for that being is that he is ranked third behind number one, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm not mad about that. The kid's an absolute freak, and I don't think there's really anybody on the planet that plays ball the way that Giannis Antetokounmpo plays it. I love the way he plays. So number one, I'm not mad at it. Kevin Durant at number two, and then Nikola Jokic at number three. That's the one where I start, like, because of the back-to-back MVPs, because of the fact that he can stay on the court, he is more valuable than Kevin Durant. He is a much better team player. He doesn't run when Golden State beats him. He doesn't run when Boston beats him. He stays and he signs max extensions, and he is the consummate team player. So though you might be able to make an argument, well, it's not really might. You can definitely make the argument that Kevin Durant is more athletic than Joker. There's no way you can tell me that he is better and more valuable than Joker. Because with the man on the court last year, the Nets still sucked. The Nets still got swept out of the building by what was supposed to be a much lesser talented team in the first round. At least Denver, with only Jokic and essentially nobody else, was able to win one game against the eventual champions. The Nets couldn't even win one game against the eventual finals losers. Like, how many times does Durant have to show us who he is before people accept who he is? He is a spoiled, selfish, uber talented player that doesn't have enough or doesn't have a little enough ego to be great. Kevin Durant to me is forever in the hall of very good, not because he can't be great, but because he whined enough and complained enough that he wasn't able to focus enough to become a great player. He was more worried about creating burner accounts to talk crap to his fellow NBA players and even teammates than getting out in the gym and taking that next step to being the next Kobe Bryant or the next Hakeem Olajuwon or whatever comp you want to put on him. Kevin Durant, because of his own selfish and ridiculously stupid ways of living his life, has completely screwed himself, at least to me, out of ever being in the Hall of Fame discussion. I don't care what he does over the rest of his career because of how much of a cancer he is and the fact that he has proven from place to place to place, if he is the man, he cannot handle it. OKC failed because Kevin Durant was supposed to be the man and he failed. He succeeded in Golden State when he was no longer the man and was able to just do his thing. Then he goes to the Nets and becomes the man again, and they absolutely fail. Kevin Durant should never be able to have any say-so on any other team function on any other team ever again. Unless he is just a role player. And yes, he is a very good role player and can take over games in that aspect because he's, again, no longer asked to be the guy, the leader, because he's not a leader. Kevin Durant is not a leader. He cannot lead whatsoever. He is a follower. He has proven that. Golden State proves it. The Nets prove that he is not a leader. The OKC proves he is not a leader. Golden State absolutely proves he's a follower. When he doesn't have to lead, he's great. When he's at the helm, your ship is sinking. You should never make him captain. He can go all the way to first lieutenant. But if you make him captain, your ship is done. It is going to sink and it's going to be ugly because the man cannot lead. He can take orders. He can follow orders, but the man cannot create and give orders. He sucks at it, and people need to get over it. And that is exactly why Jokic should be number 2, and that is the biggest snub on this list. I'll give you the rest of the list in order. Again, number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number 2, Kevin Durant. Number 3, Nikola Jokic. Number 4, Stephen Curry. Number 5, LeBron James. Number 6, Joel Embiid. Number 7, Luka Doncic. Number 8, Jason Tatum. Number 9, Jimmy Butler. And number 10, Devin Booker. So I really don't have much problem with any of these other than I think I would put Joel Embiid above LeBron just simply because of age, size, athleticism. Joel's a freak. And again, that's just a little bit of a debate in my personal opinion. I'm not going to die on the hill of LeBron James ahead of Joel Embiid. If this was my list, I would personally put him ahead of him. But other than that, and swapping Jokic and Durant around, I think they did a pretty good job. What about you? Do you think they did a good job? Who do you think should be moved up, down, left, right, completely out of the picture? Who should be added? Any snubs? I don't see any personally, but you might. Please let me know. I would love to have the discussion. Maybe. I'm not promising anything. People will tell you how hard it is to change my mind, but you might. You never know. I'm not completely closed-minded, and I'm not that stubborn as much as people like to think. I do listen, and I will change my mind if you bring the right information and the right research. Don't come at me with no BS, though, because I'll hurt your feelings. And I don't intend to. It's what it happens. So, and that's just what the rumor is, that if you come at me, I hurt your feelings. Just like the rumor is that Melo might return to Denver. How about that? Nuggets Nation. What do you feel about that, Mile High Basketball? Would you like to see Melo back? I mean, he did burn a lot of it was ugly when he left. It was absolutely ugly when he was traded to the Knicks way back when. So now the thing is, a lot of those people, really all of those people are gone. I don't think there's a single person left in the building, front office or on the court from that time. So a lot of those wounds have probably healed. So I don't see that being an issue. But my problem is, where is he going to go? I've seen these rumors everywhere. I understand it's the off season, but seriously, people, hoops time. Can you please give me an idea where any of this information came from? Because everybody's jumping on hoop time saying that, oh, they have a source. Okay, since when? I've never heard of hoop time having a source in Denver ever before. So keep this in mind, people. Just because you hear a rumor doesn't mean you get to run with it. That's why I brought this up. Not because I believe the rumor, not because I believe they have a chance. They don't. Unless Carmelo comes in for a vet minimum. And I don't even think the Nuggets have that much cap room. So, and unless he's taking the ultimate pay cut, which when has Carmelo Anthony ever been? I mean, he's become a much better team player over the last couple of years. I will give him that. But Melo was gone because it was me first. Melo left Denver because his wife didn't like Denver. That's what it boiled down to. A lot of people will say that that's not true. That people are just going after Lala. No, it's true. I have my sources. It's true. Melo wanted out, not because Melo wanted out. I mean, yeah, he likes New York. He wanted to go back and play in New York. That's where he's from. He played in Syracuse, whatever. That was the cover story because he was going to get the same amount of money here, just like it is now. Where you get more money from the team you get drafted by than if you go swapping around teams. That's the incentive that the NBA has put on these contracts to avoid so many super teams. I mean, it really hasn't worked, but that's the general idea, is that you give the team that drafts a guy the chance to give him the most money in his career. You can't make as much. It's actually several tens of millions. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I know you'll probably roast me for that, but it is what it is. They just aren't able to make nearly as much with other teams than the ones that drafted them. So if it was just about money, obviously you stay, but his wife wanted New York. Lala wanted either New York or LA, and they got New York. And then they ended up getting divorced. Like, please, guys, especially rich dudes, like, don't ever go running after what the female wants when you're an athlete. Like, I get it. You want to make the wife happy, but you got to be happy too. So don't make yourself miserable just simply because the wife wants something. It's a relationship. It's 50-50, give and take. Don't ever just run out. I mean, Jay Cutler had a similar situation. I mean, there's numerous stories of guys that were chasing after tail and chased it right out of the league. So let's take these as cautionary tales. Make sure whatever you do is in the best interest for you and them long term, not just you or them in the short term. So again, talking about Melo, I don't care. If he comes, great. If he doesn't, who cares? At this point in his career, he is not a difference maker. Yes, he played very well off the bench. Again, I will say that off the bench for the Lakers. But that was the first time in years he's even been okay. Before that, he was just volume shooting, even though he could never make a shot for extended periods of time. So I don't want anybody that has the potential to cause a locker room rift. And again, Melo's been better. You haven't heard about him being such a prima donna over the last couple of years, but you just never know, especially when a guy sniffs a modicum of the success he had previously. I just don't want to mess with this locker room chemistry, and it is way more essential than people ever give it credit for when it comes to locker room chemistry. It is essential. You don't have to love each other, but you got to be able to stand each other. You got to be able to spend hours upon hours in the same room as that person, having to smell they stank because you're athletes and you're sweating. Like you have to be able to handle all of those things. And I just don't like Melo for this locker room, period. So whether or not he can be, I don't care. I don't see any way for them to do so without trading other pieces that again mess with the locker room chemistry. So no, I don't want to see Melo. I don't care. I don't want the nostalgia. I don't want the storyline. I don't care. I'm in TV. I'm all about storylines. I do this for a living. Storylines are my lifeblood, but that storyline can just die right there on the cutting room floor. And again, hoop time. Back it up. I want to see what you're talking about because I have yet to see anybody come up with anything concrete. It's just there's word around the league, not even per a source. It's just word around the league. Come on, guys. Let's be journalists. Please grow up and be a journalist. Stop being lazy and just, oh, somebody said something on a website, so I'm going to make a whole story about it and just blow up that rumor. And, clickbait, who cares if I'm right or wrong? People will forget. This is what's wrong with journalism. Is just running with any and everything you see without vetting it. It's gross. Stop it. So, moving on from gross rumors to substantiated rumors. These actually have teeth. These have sources. These have contracts, and that is that the Nuggets have two more executives moving on to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tim Connolly's brother, Joe Connolly, and shoot, I forget the other guy. But anyways, it was like a low-level scout. But Joe Connolly is joining his brother along with another guy that came in with him. They've been friends and they've went to several different stops together. So this is really another nothing burger. A lot of people are trying to make a big deal about this because of Tim Connolly being in a long line of executives that are just allowed to walk out the door. But when you have the depth in the front office the Nuggets have, why would you pay for it? It's like telling the Broncos to pay for Melvin Gordon at top dollar, even though they already have Javonte Williams in the wings. Like that doesn't make sense, right? You wouldn't give a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract to the backup. Excuse me. Sorry, to what is now the backup running back over the starting running back. Just like you would not want to give top dollar to who is was the quote unquote starting front office exec. We'll put that in there. And you already have a backup in the wings. It's just like last year with Williams and Gordon. Gordon was the starter last year because he got paid more and he had the starter contract. But when the offseason came, the Broncos were absolutely cognizant of the fact that their backup was better than their starter. Well, I mean, can you really argue that Calvin Booth has been worse than Tim Connolly? Because it really looks like he's made a lot of the same moves we probably would have saw from Tim Connolly. So with the Nuggets letting him walk because of money, but yet keeping Calvin Booth. Now, if Calvin leaves and then that line of succession sucks after that, you can start talking. But if Calvin Booth comes in here and just keeps the train moving, then how can you question them? Like, I don't get that at this point. Y'all keep talking about the Nuggets not wanting to pay executives, but yet the Nuggets just keep getting better when they don't pay the executives while paying the players. Y'all are so focused on, oh, they're not paying the front office. Who cares? They paid Jokic, they paid Murray, they paid Porter, they paid Gordon, they paid KCP. All the starters are locked up long term. All 5 starters are locked up for at least 3 years. At least 3 years. Many of them more than that. What more do you want? What more do you need? Who cares who else leaves this front office? As long as the product on the court stays top notch, why does it matter who it is in the front office pulling the strings. Because honestly, it's looking like those GMs weren't really the guys pulling all the strings. Because again, every time they leave, the team either stays the same or gets better. So again, what is your complaints, Nuggets Nation? Why are you whining that these guys are leaving? As long as the team is succeeding, why do you care who's in the front office? Now, if it was Jokic leaving, Murray, Porter Jr., then you can complain. But really, we're going to sit here and continuously whine for months that Tim Connolly left? Yes, he's a great guy. He did a great job. Wonderful. But when you look at Minnesota, would you really say he made a lot of great moves? I mean, Rudy Gobert trade on its own. Really, people? Could you imagine if he made that trade here? Y'all would be lambasting him. But yet, sitting here in Denver, where he didn't mortgage the future, was never allowed to mortgage the future, and was able to create this super team from drafting them, but yet goes to Minnesota and trades away almost every draft pick for the next decade to get Rudy freaking Gobert. Not Kevin Durant. Not go off and somehow pry Jokic away from Denver. Not a Damian Lillard or McCormick or even just going bigger like Devin Booker or any of those other guys that would make that trade would have made sense. No, you give up all of that for Rudy freaking Gobert. And again, all of you in here in Denver are complaining about this guy leaving. Why? Is it just that you like to whine? Is it just that you like to complain? I do not understand whatsoever. I got somebody in here. I appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button. And yeah, I think we're good. I think we covered everything we wanted to cover today. Don't see any comments or anything. Just double checking. Let me double check my Twitter just to make sure nothing's going on over there. Because again, I cannot see you here if you were on Twitter. All right. Appreciate it. Quinn, I appreciate you, my guy, giving us a view there. I see you on Twitter and give us a like. Anybody else? We'd appreciate it. Just hit that heart, hit the subscribe buttons again down in the description. Every single one of our socials. Just click on them, takes you straight to the homepage. Click the likes, the subscribes, the bell icons. Again, all of the buttons, launch all the nukes, clear the path. That way we can bring you the news as you deserve it. Right here on the Answers 42 Media Network for the Nug Life podcast. I am Dan Wetstein. Again, unfortunately, Santiago's not here with me today, but you got me, so there's something for you. So, as always, I am here. Leave comments, all that, anywhere, Twitter, Instagram. Happy to have a discussion with you for the Nug Life podcast. The answer is 42. Don't question the blue.